The women who do have that support usually can make a bigger and larger commitment towards community work. We need to put ourselves out there because if we don't go out and do stuff that we need to and raise awareness and take action, things would not change.
Good day. Welcome to our Infinity Safety Awareness Show, our community. In this show, in this podcast, we bring different community workers to talk about different issues, different areas of expertise come, and they share their knowledge, their experience with us. Before we proceed further, we want to acknowledge we are on treaty land. We acknowledge all the work has been, or awareness, or the culture awareness, or the work has been done by the Aboriginal and Métis people to create, to develop the Canadian culture where we are part of it. Today we have Ruby Malik with us. She does not need an introduction. She is a community worker. She is a mother. She is a daughter, and I know her personally, and she has inspired so many people, not only male, female, not only Pakistan community, each and every area of the community, wherever she has stepped in, and she has accelerated. Welcome, Ruby.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show.
Ruby, my first question to you is, and I'm going to talk about the taboos, right? And don't take me, and we don't want to offend anyone. As a female, as a Pakistani woman, as a mother, as a worker, when you come in the community work or work as a community leader, how do you feel? How much support do you receive from the family? Why I'm asking this question, because Manju, my wife, she works, but then as a male, I still expect to do that. We work together, but to help. She is going to cook. She is going to serve. That I'm just trying to talk about the taboos. What you think? What your experience have been?
So that's a very good question because you see nowadays more women from our community in Canada or otherwise overall in the world that are more actively involved in the community work. However, the barriers still exist. I think you touched on it. The first circle that you need the support from is your immediate family. The women who do have that support usually can make a bigger and larger commitment towards community work. That support is important because as growing up, if you don't have your parents' support as a young growing woman to be involved in volunteer work or community work, then it becomes very hard to get engaged in the things that you might have passion for. And then from my personal experience, I was born and raised in Pakistan, so it's a very different society. And then moving at a very early age, at the age of 19, to North America, living in US and Canada, I think my support that came from the family has been phenomenal. And that has played a huge role because that, as you said, there are specific gender roles in some communities that are prescribed for men and women. And even though I have, for example, even with all the support that I have from my family, my husband, my daughters, as well as other friends and so on, and from employers, I have a full-time job. I have lots of community things that I have passion for and I'm involved. But as you said, still, when I get back home, most of the caregiving role still is automatically assigned to me. As a mother, it's seen as my role as has to be nurturing the kids and taking care of the laundry and groceries and all those things. So that I don't think ever goes away. But the world is changing, but not fast enough as we could say that equity has been reached.
Ruby, you did mention you have been raised, born and brought up in Pakistan, right? And then you came to Canada, North America. You lived in US and then North America, Canada. I'm going to ask this question in Punjabi or Urdu. Like, हम लोगों में कहते हैं लोग कुछ तो कहेंगे. लोगों का काम है कहना. कुछ भी कर लो, उन्होंने कुछ ना कुछ तो बोलना ही है. Especially जब females community, जो females हैं वो आगे आते हैं. बहुत सुनना भी पड़ता है. लोग कमेंट्स भी देते हैं, फैमिली भी कमेंट्स देती है, कम्युनिटी भी कमेंट. आपको कैसा एक्सपीरियंस हुआ इस बारे में?
बहुत आपने कमाल की बात रेज की. बिल्कुल एग्जैक्टली कि लोग क्या कहेंगे, और द फैमिली आल्सो आस्क्ड लाइक जरूरत क्या है. For that, personally, I heard that from my parents as well. Like, koi zarurat nahi. There's no need to be doing volunteer work. Like, why do you want to do it? There's no need for you to be putting yourself in such scrutiny and dedicating hours outside of home while you could be studying or doing stuff inside the house. And my question always was, because my dad was somewhat more liberated than other men, I think, in the era that I grew up in. I always said that, okay, why I had two brothers, one older and one younger. I always would give an example, I think, that why do they need to go? There's no need for them to be out and about, but they do, and you don't question it. So it's always asking those questions. But we do fight that battle of log kya kahenge, rishtedar kya kahenge, image kya banega, me being a bolder, stronger woman, being a voice outside in the community, always has raised some negativity in the circles with relatives or otherwise. Just, I think they not always are coming from a negative place, but just for the sake of how people have been raised in previous generations, especially for the sake of safety of women and so on. They do have concerns, but it's always like, if it's not necessary, don't put yourself out there. But that is why we need to put ourselves out there, because if we don't go out and do stuff that we need to and raise awareness and take action, things would not change. But it is very prevalent. Even in Edmonton nowadays, I am involved in different interfaith projects, multicultural projects, and I'm still sometimes asked by friends, why are you involved in such and such community? Because we come from those preconceived ideas and notions that we should be sitting in our own silos, and there's no need. But I think of it as building bridges. That's my answer always. Like, log shuru mein maybe shocked honge, unko change lagegi, things are, when they are different, people have questions, but then you make an example of something positive coming out of it, then their fears and whatever they are coming from subside, is my opinion.
Ruby, I have a question, and it's kind of, I'm going to say personally, right? I have a daughter too, right? She's 22. She's outgoing. She is intelligent. She's, education-wise, she's an RN now. You have beautiful daughters also, and we work with the other community, the girls and females. What message would you like to tell them, to how to deal? Because my question, let me redirect the question. As a parent, sometimes we raise this not discriminate. लड़कों को दूसरी तरह से ट्रीट करना, लड़कियों को दूसरी तरह से ट्रीट करना, right? आप parents को क्या message? How as a parent, what you will advise the other parents how to handle this kind of a situations?
I think it's bias, that it's the built-in bias in our minds. I sometimes call it like a metal spider in my head that also I had entrenched with me, that, okay, girls can do certain things and boys can do certain things. And it started to change when I had to be on my own 2 feet in North America. Life was very different from the sheltered life I had back home. So it takes a while. It's I think the gender bias still exists. It's in the newer generation still as well. But I am raising, or have raised, 3 young women who are born in North America as well. So they are at the stage of, they are in their 20s, all 3, mid-20s. So I have always given them the message that go for your passion, go put your energies in something that's concrete and would make a positive legacy for you in the community, in the sense that we need to give back to the community, has been my message. But as a parent, I'm also definitely by default concerned about their safety and all of that. But that doesn't mean that we just hide them in a closet in the house all their life. Like, we have to take those risks, and give them we raise them with good principles, is my message. That raise your kids with the core principles you want them to have on humanitarian level, otherwise what is core values for you coming from faith or otherwise from religion, and then have them build the skills that they are strong enough to defend themselves out in the world. So I would say, if I had sons or daughters, they would have the skills that if they saw something wrong going on, they would stand up for it and raise their voice. If the girls are volunteering outside, I definitely want them to be taking as many precautions as they would if they were a boy, for their safety and all of that. But the main message to parents is, we have to provide the opportunities for the kids, but we also have to do their tarbiyat, as we say, in such a manner that they are strong people and they are able to go off and do what they need to, while being a strong person in their inside. I used to say to my husband that we as parents would not be able to sit you on one right shoulder and me on the left shoulder of our daughters all day and try to tell them right or wrong or this. Like, they have to have a good sense built inside and have a good head on their shoulders themselves to make good decisions where they make good choices. And sometimes letting the kids and people would always make mistakes, but we give them all the experience we have, lessons learned from our lived experience, and we teach them the best that we know and give them the best opportunities possibly that can come their way, but let them live their life too. Happiness, positivity, all these things for our kids matter too. Even I've noticed, sorry, I'm going on for a bit, but one of the examples is choosing careers. As parents, we always were wanting to default, because my daughters are getting scholarships and doing so well in studies. They're like, okay, doctor banna. But they have different aptitudes. So we have to come to that conclusion that kids can make their own choices. We have to equip them to the best of our ability with all the positive values and skills, and then let them be and be supportive.
Ruby, you have brought two different, the very important questions which I want to ask you. जैसे हम लोग सारे South brown, we say South Asian community, सबको अपने बच्चों को डॉक्टर इंजीनियर बनाना है. तो कोई भी ट्रेड में चला जाता है, कहीं भी चला जाता है. We don't accept it. So now your kids have, your daughters, they are wonderful daughters. I had, opportunity to meet them too. So when they have chosen their own path or a career, how you're supporting them?
So it's coming to terms with what is their aptitude, how would they thrive in it. For example, my oldest daughter is wanting to do research in the science areas, and so that's her passion. That's what she wants to pursue. So I can be supportive by not being negative of what I wanted her to do and what she chose. It's to provide the positive atmosphere at home, positive feedback on how, whenever she's doing stuff and progressing in her career, having some definitely more lived experience is valuable. I tell my kids that the younger generation always thinks at some point in their mind after reaching puberty that they are smarter than their parents, that we know more at some point. And I said, you would know more, you might be more book smart, but you're definitely not more street smart, because we have walked through more streets than you, and we have gained more life experience, and we want to give you the best of what we have learned. And then it's up to you to take it or not. You'll make your own mistakes, but being supportive is providing them with positive feedback, with all the things they are asking for, and also considering happiness. I think we undervalue happiness over what we call success. So success is not always material things. Success can come in many different ways. That's also have the philosophical discussions with your kids. So the meaning or value of life is much more to them than just career oriented or making money or having a title or having a car and a big house. Life has much more deeper meaning. And I think having those discussions with them opens up their mind. And I think that's how we can support them grow into mature human beings who would carry on. I value humanitarian values more, so that's what I would like to instill in them and bring that up more often. And whenever I'm providing feedback to them or supporting them in any way.
Ruby, the other question I have, because you have been involved so much in South Asian community, you really inspire me. We talk about the mental health, like in South Asian community, mental health kind of does not exist, right? We never talk about it as a taboo. Like, we have a family support. Why you need a mental health for a male or a female, right? Like what you think, how you will say is a need for a mental health in the South Asian community for male, female, children, everyone.
I think there's a huge need. And as you have rightfully mentioned, there's a big taboo. We don't want to mention that we might be feeling down. We don't want to mention at all if we are having some depressive thoughts in life at some point. But यही जिंदगी है, इसमें उतार चढ़ाव आते हैं, इसमें खुशी और गम सारे stages आते हैं for everybody walking on this earth. So it's natural to go through ups and downs in life. There might be financial stresses, there might be familial or relationship stresses that we all go through at different times. And it's natural to be down, it's natural to cry, it's natural to be angry, but we need to learn how to manage those emotions properly. If we don't manage those at the right time and with proper skills and tools that we have, then those things stay bottled up inside and they can blow up. It becomes like an explosive bomb inside of you. And people sometimes, it says, like we say, that was the last straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing. So it's we don't want to get to that point. So I think the need is extremely high for our community to be open, be more aware of it, talk openly about it, and to not have any shame in accessing the tools and skilled people we have in these fields for us to reach out to. And if, for example, even going back to the gender difference, I noticed it seemed like boys don't cry. That's not a healthy message to give out. You have to be strong like a boy and not cry. Well, humans, we all have emotions at all times. It is safe and fine to cry sometimes to release all the stress we might have. So it's, I think you have brought up an extremely important point that is much needed to be addressed in our community. I think awareness needs to be more open discussions so that the taboo gets lifted and we don't feel कि ओ शर्मिंदगी हो रही है, शर्म आ रही है, so and so का हम down हैं या हमने psychologist को access किया या whatever. These are actually healthy ways of coping with the things that we all experience at different times.
Ruby, I remember when I was state, like my mother used to say, "Ladka ho ke rota hai."
Right.
Sharam aani chahiye. Mard, mard ko dard nahi. But it's a reality. My next question, Ruby, jaise, you have been in a government job, right? We talk about racism, discrimination, and now we have gone to the diversity, inclusion, and equity. If you can just in brief, if you can say how your experience has been, positive or negative?
I think discrimination does exist in all fields of life, even in work spheres. Working with as a public servant in the government, I've experienced different levels of discrimination at different times, which I might have perceived more so because I was in the middle of it. But definitely, I've seen it happen to other people, my colleagues as well, based on either the socioeconomic class, based on the skin of the color of the skin that we have, or other reasons, ethnicity or country of origin, because we might have an accent, you feel slight to extreme different ways that people might treat you. It has become better, I think, but it's like the needle has moved barely slightly towards the better. Definitely not at all. I don't think we are able to say that we have overcome it. And as you said, diversity and inclusions become the buzz thing, the in thing for companies and organizations and departments to have. But how practically implemented it is another thing. But we need to keep that in discussion. I think we need to keep saying and doing what we say, not just say and have a check mark. Okay, there's a diversity inclusion committee. What actually are some of the policies that still are barriers for people who are visible minority or might have barriers because of other reasons, and then what are the approaches to address them, and also what are the consequences if somebody brings up grievance or anything. Are there any consequences? I think those are all the things that need to be still considered in order for us to say that there is true equality or equity in all areas of life.
Ruby, in the end, what message would you like to give? I will really request if you can do like 2 minutes, kind of, but half in English, half in Urdu or Punjabi or Hindi.
I don't know. That's a tough question. The message, I think, is I would suggest to everybody that look at yourself. We all have phenomenal strengths. We have strengths that we might not be aware of, but they are in us. We are all strong people in different ways. Find your strength, your skill, and then give back to community in any way that you think is more appropriate with what your profile is, how your personality is. There are different ways to be either behind the scenes or in front or writing or speaking or doing stuff. Just get involved in the community. It enriches in so many ways the person who is doing it, as well as there is such a gap and need for us to connect at that level, especially in our South Asian community, I think, in Edmonton, and also not to make silos. Let's get out of our silos and small camps here and there, start working together. I think we can be a huge force of positive change in that. Urdu या हिंदी में मेरा मैसेज ये है कि हम सारों के अंदर इतनी सलाहियतें मौजूद हैं जो दूसरे बंदे में नहीं होती। रब ने, खुदा ने, अल्लाह ताला ने हम सबको इतना डिफरेंट और यूनिक बनाया है और हमारे अंदर बहुत सी पॉजिटिव चीजें रखी हैं। अपना गुण आप उसको ढूंढें कि आपके अंदर क्या सलाहियत है, एंड देन उसको अपनी कम्युनिटी के अंदर कोई ऐसी चीज करें जो आप देख रहे हैं कि कोई और काम नहीं कर रहा। और मिल के काम करने में ही बरकत है, मिल के काम करने में ही हम सब के लिए कलेक्टिव फोर्स जब हम बन जाते हैं तो देन we are an incredible force to reckon with. I think वो कतरा कतरा मिलते मिलते वाली बात है. That's my message, that let's work together, and small droplets that we are all together, we can be an ocean.
Thank you, Ruby. And I echo your word, like, बोलते हैं बूंद बूंद करके घड़ा भर जाता है. And that what you said, the same thing, if we are a unity, like, the one finger doesn't do it, but when we make a fist, we can change the world. Ruby, thanks a lot for taking a time for us, for our viewers, and giving an opportunity to talk to you. You're watching Infinity Safety Awareness podcast on our community. Keep watching. Please like and subscribe and inspire us. Thank you. Have a safe day.
Thank you.